Every generation believes its technology has solved war. That precision has replaced uncertainty. That machines have eliminated error. That human judgment is no longer the weakest link. But history suggests otherwise. It whispers a cautionary tale, a recurring lesson about the dangers of blind faith. This is what happens when faith in machines replaces thinking and confidence swells into hubris. Technology promises certainty. It offers the clean, hard lines of data instead of the fuzzy edges of instinct. It provides prediction instead of intuition, control instead of chaos. For commanders facing life and death decisions, this promise is almost irresistible. Advanced systems appear objective. They don't feel fear. They don't panic. They don't doubt. They simply calculate and execute. But technology doesn't actually remove uncertainty from the battlefield. It only relocates it. The new points of failure are often hidden deep within lines of code or in the subtle assumptions made by engineers thousands of miles away from the front. The belief that a machine is infallible is the first and most dangerous error. This misplaced confidence creates a false sense of security, encouraging commanders to delegate not just tasks, but the very act of critical thinking. And when that happens, the stage is set for disaster. Look at the Battle of the Somme in 1916. British planners placed enormous, almost religious, faith in their artillery. The plan was a testament to industrial might. A week-long, non-stop bombardment involving over 1.5 million shells would systematically destroy the German defenses. Barbed wire would be vaporized. Trenches would be flattened. Resistance would be utterly eliminated. The British infantry would then simply walk across no man's land and occupy the empty positions. It was a plan built on the mathematical certainty of firepower, but the technology did not perform as expected. A significant number of the shells were duds, failing to explode on impact. Many others were shrapnel shells, designed for use against troops in the open, not for destroying deep, well-constructed German dugouts. The bombardment churned the earth, but left the core of the defensive network and its deadly machine guns largely intact. On the morning of July 1st, when the whistles blew and the soldiers went over the top, they advanced not into a wasteland, but into a perfectly prepared kill zone. The result was the single bloodiest day in the history of the British Army, with nearly 60,000 casualties. The failure wasn't a lack of courage from the men in the trenches. It was a failure of belief at the top, the arrogant belief that technology had made human judgment and tactical flexibility unnecessary. Fast forward 75 years to the Gulf War in 1991. The world watched in awe as the Patriot missile system, a technological marvel, was deployed to intercept incoming Iraqi Scud missiles. This was warfare for the computer age. Highly automated, lightning fast, and driven by complex algorithms, the Patriot seemed like the ultimate defensive shield. Night after night, news broadcasts showed what appeared to be successful intercepts, streaks of light meeting in the dark desert sky. It was a powerful symbol of American technological supremacy. But beneath the surface, a tiny, insidious flaw was growing. The system's internal clock, which it used to track time and calculate the trajectory of fast-moving targets, had a minuscule rounding error. This error, measured in fractions of a second, was insignificant during short periods of operation. But as the system was left running for days on end, the clock drifted. The error compounded. After about 100 hours of continuous use, the drift became significant enough to throw off its targeting calculations by hundreds of meters. Warnings about this software bug existed. They were known. But acting on them was complex, and the system was trusted. On February 25, 1991, a Patriot missile battery in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, had been operating for over 100 hours. When an incoming Scud missile was detected, the system's flawed clock caused it to look for the target in the wrong patch of sky. The intercept failed. The Scud slammed into a barracks, killing 28 American soldiers and injuring nearly 100 more. The system had been trusted beyond its known limits. Technology had been given a level of faith it hadn't earned. This is the crucial point. Technology does more than just assist our decisions. It actively reshapes them, often in ways we don't immediately recognize. The remote, video game-like interface of a drone console creates a psychological distance that reduces the perceived risk and the human cost of deploying lethal force. The promise of pinpoint precision creates an overconfidence that can lead commanders to approve missions they would otherwise deem too dangerous. And the allure of automation encourages a dangerous delegation, not just of simple tasks, but of moral and tactical responsibility. As our systems get smarter and more capable, our own caution often declines in direct proportion. Leaders become spectators, watching events unfold on a screen, detached from the gritty, unpredictable reality on the ground. They begin to trust the system's green light more than their own instincts, and that is a subtle but profound shift. The danger isn't that the technology will fail. The danger is that we believe it can't. So why are these failures so often ignored or downplayed? Because admitting a technological failure is deeply uncomfortable for a military institution. It challenges the entire narrative of progress and superiority. It undermines massive financial investments and years of development. It threatens the credibility of the leaders who advocated for and procured the systems in the first place. It's much easier to reframe a systemic flaw as a one-off anomaly. It's simpler to call it a temporary glitch, or better yet, to blame it on user error. The problem is written off, a patch is promised for the future, and the institutional faith in technology remains unshaken. But war has no beta testing phase. The battlefield does not tolerate acceptable error margins. While engineers review data in a lab, and commanders wait impatiently for a fix, lives hang in the balance. The reluctance to confront the limitations of our own creations is a form of hubris that the enemy will always exploit. From the massed artillery of the Somme, to the faulty radar clocks of the Gulf War, to the sophisticated drones of the modern era, the pattern repeats with haunting consistency. A new technology is introduced, heralded as a revolutionary solution that will change the face of warfare. Confidence in the system swells, and a reliance on human judgment, caution, and intuition begins to relax. Then, inevitably, reality intervenes. The friction and chaos of actual combat exposes the machine's hidden flaws, or it is misunderstood by its users, or it is simply trusted too completely. In that moment of failure, the lesson is written again in blood. Technology is a tool, a powerful, indispensable tool, but a tool nonetheless. It is not a substitute for leadership. It extends human capability, but it cannot and must not replace human responsibility. The ultimate weapon is not the missile or the drone. It is the mind of the commander who knows the difference between data and wisdom, between calculation and judgment. When leaders stop questioning their machines, they stop leading. They become passive observers, managers of a system they no longer truly control. This is military hubris. And this is what happens when faith replaces judgment. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more episodes.